In the silent darkness of the galaxy, a single heartbeat echoes, the thrum of ancient power armor waking from slumber. Sparks dance across metal older than empires, and for a moment, the void itself seems to hold its breath. What does it take to survive 10,000 years of endless war? The question cuts through the darkness as ghostly silhouettes shift, Mark I thunder plating stomping across Terra's dust, Mark III iron armor taking the shock of boarding torpedoes, Mark X Tacticus moving with smooth, almost predatory precision. Each flash is a memory carved into ceramite, a reminder that humanity's survival was never guaranteed, it had to be engineered, improved, reforged again and again in the furnace of conflict. The armor of the Adeptus Astartes is not just protection, it is the evolution of a species fighting extinction with every breath. From the first crude exosuits born during the Age of Strife to the technologically refined masterpieces of the modern Imperium, each generation of armor tells a story. A story of desperate innovation during the Great Crusade, of rushed improvisation in the fires of the Horus Heresy, of millennia spent patching and preserving sacred relics. These armors carry the scars of battles across a million worlds. They reflect the triumphs, failures, and sacrifices of the superhuman warriors who wore them. And as humanity pushed further into a hostile universe, every mark became a symbol of a different era, a different threat, a different hope, a different wound in the timeline of mankind. Today, we trace that journey. We uncover how iron became legacy, how armor became identity, and how the angels of death forged their eternal skin. Before the Imperium, before the Great Crusade, before the galaxy learned to fear the angels of death, there was a prototype, a crude, roaring beast of iron and lightning known as Mark I Thunder armor. Built during the Age of Strife on a fractured, war-torn Terra, this armor was never meant for interstellar warfare. It was a desperate attempt to create a warrior capable of surviving brutal techno-barbarian battles that tore ancient Earth apart. Its plates were thick, its exoskeleton exposed, its power systems unstable. It lacked the refinement of later designs, but it carried something more important: purpose. Inside it stood the earliest iterations of superhuman warriors, the ancestors of the Astartes. They marched across the wastelands of Terra like walking fortresses, shrugging off crude gunfire and crushing enemies with thunderous steps. Thunder armor was slow, heavy, and limited to atmospheric environments, but it proved a critical truth: humanity could create a living weapon capable of changing the course of war. This armor was the spark, the first pulse in a technological heartbeat that would echo across the stars. Mark I was not perfection. It was the beginning, born from chaos and destined to lead mankind into a new age. When the Emperor united Terra and launched the Great Crusade, humanity finally stepped beyond its cradle. For this new age, Mark I was insufficient, too primitive, too grounded, too limited. The newborn legions needed armor capable of carrying the emperor's will across an entire galaxy. Thus emerged Mark II Crusade armor, the first true power armor, a masterpiece of ancient Terran and Martian collaboration. Sleek, fully enclosed, and powered by far more stable generators, it became the iconic image of the early Space Marines. Unlike its predecessor, Mark II was designed for movement across alien worlds, thick jungles, burning deserts, barren moons. Its helmet featured advanced sensory systems, allowing Astartes to track enemies through smoke and void dust. Its joints were protected, its plating layered with ceramite, and its internal systems allowed warriors to survive toxic atmospheres and vacuum. More importantly, Mark II represented confidence. Humanity was no longer hiding behind fortress walls, it was marching across the stars with purpose. This armor became synonymous with victory during the Crusade's early years, as legion after legion brought world after world into compliance. Mark II was the first armor to truly feel like a second skin, reliable, elegant, and built for galactic conquest. As the Great Crusade advanced, humanity encountered enemies who refused to bow. Many battles turned into brutal close-quarters combat, fought in starship corridors, toxic tunnels, rusted factories, and void-tight fortresses. The elegant Mark II struggled under these conditions, its mobility became a weakness in cramped environments. So the Mechanicum forged a new variant, Mark III iron armor. It was heavier, thicker, and front-loaded with reinforced plating. Designed for frontal assaults, it allowed Marines to become unstoppable battering rams. Boarding actions, in particular, defined the Mark III era. Space Marines would crash into traitor ships or alien dreadnoughts, absorbing fire with their heavily armored chest and helmet before striking back with explosive fury. The armor's rear was less protected, trading all-round defense for forward-facing resilience. Iron armor was a symbol of aggression, built not for beauty but for raw battlefield dominance. It carried a brutal aesthetic, blocky, angular, intimidating, reflecting the brutal environments where it thrived. Many legions adopted it for specialist units, especially those known for shock assault tactics. Mark III taught humanity a harsh lesson: not all wars are fought in open fields beneath shining suns. Some must be fought in choking darkness, where iron armor became the hammer of the Imperium. As the Great Crusade expanded deeper into unknown regions, the Imperium demanded not just power but perfection. The Mechanicum responded by creating Mark IV Maximus armor, widely considered the technological pinnacle of pre-heresy power armor design. Sleeker than Mark III and far lighter, it offered improved mobility without sacrificing protection. Its layered ceramite plates were refined with higher quality materials, allowing for smoother articulation and better resistance to energy weapons. But what truly set Mark IV apart was its enhanced internal systems, improved Auspex arrays, refined autosenses, and a streamlined reactor core. For many legions, wearing Maximus armor felt like evolving: faster reaction times, better accuracy, and more stable battlefield performance. It became the symbol of imperial prosperity, built during an age when mankind believed victory was inevitable and unity eternal. Legions proudly marched in shining Mark IV suits, showcasing the Imperium's technological triumph. Yet this armor also foreshadowed the tragedy to come. Many prototypes and materials were manufactured on forged worlds that later turned traitor, meaning much of the advanced production was lost during the heresy. Mark IV represents a dream, a moment when humanity stood on the edge of greatness, unaware of the darkness rising from within its own ranks. The Horus Heresy shattered everything. Supply lines collapsed, forged worlds turned traitor, and legions, once brothers, now hunted each other across the galaxy. With factories destroyed and resources dwindling, Space Marines needed armor that could be built quickly, repaired crudely, and modified under extreme battlefield conditions. Thus rose Mark V Heresy armor, improvised, inconsistent, and brutally functional. It was not crafted in the spirit of innovation but in the desperation of civil war. Mark V combined surviving components of Mark II, III, and IV, reinforced with makeshift plating, bolted segments, repurposed circuitry, and whatever scrap the legions could salvage. The result was an armor often spiked with exposed wiring, uneven protection, and reactive plating that struggled to handle advanced munitions. However, it allowed Marines to keep fighting when resources were scarce. Its distinct studded armor plates were not for style, they were cheaper to produce and easier to attach in field forges. Mark V became the armor of betrayal, its jagged silhouette seen on both loyalists defending Terra and traitors pushing toward the throne. Every plate carried scars of brother killing brother. It is the armor of a broken Imperium, forged not in pride but in necessity during humanity's darkest hours. Even as the Imperium collapsed into civil war, new innovations were being forged in secret. Mark VI Corvus armor, easily recognized by its distinctive beak helmet, was originally developed as a next-generation design combining speed, stealth, and improved structural integrity. Its streamlined shape reduced energy signatures, making it ideal for reconnaissance and hit-and-run operations. The Raven Guard, in particular, embraced the design, turning Corvus into the armor of shadows. Lightweight plating allowed for silent movement, while enhanced Auspex systems made its wearers deadly in ambushes. But Mark VI also carries a tragic legacy. Many shipments of this armor, meant for loyalist legions, were intercepted by traitors after the Isthman massacres, causing confusion as both sides used the same suits in later battles. Some Marines saw Corvus armor as a symbol of betrayal, others saw it as a tool of survival. Despite its lighter build, its internal systems were sophisticated, including stronger fiber bundles for increased speed. Mark 6 represents a turning point, where armor shifted from purely defensive to tactical specialization. It is sleek, fast, predatory, and associated with the painful period when the Imperium fought not aliens, but itself. Corvus armor is remembered as the ghost-like skin of warriors who hunted enemies in silence. As the Horus heresy raged toward Terra, the Imperium needed a new baseline armor, something durable, versatile, and easy to produce across multiple forge worlds still loyal to the Emperor. Mark 7, known as Aquila armor, became the answer. It featured the now iconic breastplate bearing the Imperial Eagle, symbolizing unity and resilience during mankind's darkest hour. Unlike the specialized marks that came before it, Mark 7 was designed as a universal workhorse, balanced protection, reliable mobility, and compatibility with existing components. Its reinforced gorget protected the neck and helmet seals, addressing vulnerabilities that previous marks suffered during close combat engagements. Many of the defenders of Terra wore early versions of Mark 7, fighting through blood and fire against traitor legions storming the Imperial Palace. After the heresy ended, this armor became the most widespread and recognizable in the Imperium, worn for millennia by space marines in every theater of war. From orc-infested battlefields to demon-haunted void stations, Aquila armor proved its worth again and again. It became the standard image of the space marine, unyielding, adaptable, and eternal. Mark 7 is the armor that rebuilt the Imperium after it nearly fell apart, standing as a symbol of both tragedy and hope. Mark 8 errant armor was an attempt to address long-standing weaknesses that had persisted through earlier designs. Most notable was the reinforced collar built to protect the vulnerable joint between the helmet and chest plate, a known weak spot exploited by precision strikes and shrapnel. This gorget allowed for a tighter helmet seal and reduced the risk of decapitation from chain weapons and bolt shells. The chest plate was also reworked with thicker plastron armor to handle more powerful energy weapons encountered during the late 41st millennium. While not widely adopted due to limited production capacity, Mark 8 represented a push toward modernization during an age when the Imperium was slowly declining. Many elite units, commanders, and veteran squads received this armor, using it in critical operations where survival rates were razor-thin. Some saw it as a transitional design, a stepping stone toward a more advanced future armor that never fully came due to political stagnation and technological regression. Yet errant armor's presence on the battlefield was unmistakable: sharper lines, more protective contours, and a sense of refinement compared to earlier marks. It symbolizes the Imperium's struggle to innovate in an era of decay, proving that even in decline, humanity fought to evolve. 10,000 years after the heresy, the Imperium stood on the brink of annihilation. It was then that Belisarius Cull unveiled a creation centuries in the making, the Mark X Tacticus armor, forged for the new breed of space marines, Primaris. Mark X was not an upgrade of a previous suit, it was a synthesis of all prior knowledge. From the mobility of Mark II to the durability of Mark III and the refined systems of Mark IV, everything was reinterpreted through advanced, rediscovered technology. Tacticus armor offered superior power distribution, stronger fiber bundles for enhanced strength, and improved reactor efficiency. Its plating was designed for adaptability, allowing Marines to operate effectively in full-scale assaults, urban environments, and hostile alien terrain. Internal life support and auto-sense systems were far more advanced, giving Primaris Marines clearer vision, faster target acquisition, and more stable battlefield performance. Unlike earlier marks, Mark X also emphasized modularity. Sections could be swapped, upgraded, and customized based on mission profile. Tacticus armor represents the rebirth of humanity's super soldiers, a leap forward during the Imperium's greatest crisis. It is the armor of the Indomitus Crusade, worn by warriors marching into a galaxy half consumed by darkness yet still refusing to surrender. The brilliance of Mark X armor lies in its modularity, giving rise to multiple variants tailored to specific forms of warfare. Each one represents a different battlefield philosophy. The Phobos pattern is built for stealth and infiltration, combining lighter plating with Auspex dampening systems that allow Primaris Marines to disappear into shadow. Reavers and Incursors use Phobos to terrorize foes, striking silently before vanishing. The Gravis pattern, in contrast, is heavy and uncompromising. It amplifies a Marine's strength, turning him into a walking tank capable of absorbing immense firepower. Aggressors and heavy intercessors use Gravis to break enemy lines with overwhelming force. The Inceptor and Suppressor variants feature jump-boosted exoskeletons built for fast aerial assaults, allowing Marines to dive from the skies like guided missiles. Meanwhile, the Intercessor pattern serves as the core infantry configuration, balanced, reliable, and designed for sustained frontline combat. Each variant reflects a lesson learned from 10,000 years of warfare. The galaxy no longer fights one type of war, and Mark X acknowledges that. Together, these variants demonstrate the Imperium's return to innovation during the Indomitus era, giving Primaris Marines the flexibility to adapt to any threat the Void can spawn. In the end, the evolution of Space Marine armor is more than a chronicle of metal, circuits, and ceramite, it is the story of humanity itself. From the thunderous footsteps of Mark I across Terra's ruined plains to the disciplined, razor-precise movements of Primaris warriors clad in Mark X, every generation of armor reflects a moment in mankind's long struggle for survival. These suits have marched through the ashes of burned worlds, stood unbroken in the face of alien horrors, and carried the weight of brothers lost to time and treachery. Each mark carries scars, memories, and the echoes of empires rising and falling around it. And yet, despite 10,000 years of war, decay, heresy, and unending darkness, the iron skin of the Adeptus Astartes endures. It adapts. It evolves. It survives. As the galaxy fractures once more and new threats emerge from every shadow, the armor continues to change, each plate forged from sacrifice, each helmet a promise that humanity will not go quietly into extinction. The Angels of Death stand armored not just in ceramite, but in legacy. And as long as a single Space Marine still walks the battlefield, wrapped in the unbroken lineage of these marks, the enemies of mankind will learn the same eternal truth: humanity may bleed, but behind the iron skin, it never breaks.